This is Julia Sotas, and you're listening to A Different Reality. What else is possible beyond this reality that you haven't yet chosen? Hi, everyone, and welcome to A Different Reality podcast. I'm your host, Julia Sotas. Julia Sotas Mattis, also. I like to use my husband's last name, too. So I've kind of got 1,000 names. And today I have an amazing guest, Nicole Kim Mcdermott, and she is actually a certified facilitator of access consciousness, a certified facilitator of the joy of business, and I'm going to call her, I don't know if you agree with this, but I'm going to call her a big time stock market trader. I know you're not trading $1 billion, but I think it's amazing what you do. And to me, it's big time. And Nicole also has a jewelry business. She loves to make jewelry, play the stock market. She lives in New York with her husband and has a pretty amazing life. And I think it's gotten more amazing as you've used the tools of access consciousness, if I'm safe to say that, Nicole. And I'm just so grateful to have you on today. Thanks for being here.
Yay. Thank you so much, Julia, for inviting me here. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, it's awesome to have you. So, Nicole, do you want to just tell us a little bit about, let's just start at the beginning. I would love to hear, I just think your story is amazing and a facilitation in itself. And I'd love to hear just a little bit about your childhood, the different things you chose, where you went to school, and then sort of your first career and some of the things that you did.
Cool. Okay, so I was born in South Korea and grew up there. And my mom was an entrepreneur and my dad was an artist. It was just really interesting to grow up that way. And my brothers, one of my brothers and sisters were artists as well. So I sort of grew up in this sort of like fine artsy environment, and
Wow.
all of us did music. We played piano, violin, and my brothers were in rock bands. So the influence on me was just so cool. We're always playing something together or singing together. It was just a lot of fun. And my mom was all about opulence and luxury, and she just loved amazing, beautiful, high-end things. And my dad was sort of like more chill, laid back. He just, he loved fine arts and going fishing, so it's like completely two different characters, right? And I liked both of them the way they were. And I grew up pretty much good at a lot of different things. I was good at sports, music, arts, and math and physics, just pretty much just like, I don't know, well rounded per se. Only thing I hated was, I think, literature and history. But nowadays I like history.
Cool.
So I decided to come to New York to start to go to school for fine arts. And then my mom's business sort of like fell apart around that time, and she couldn't support me. And so we figured out a way, because like she was already supporting all the other fine artists in the
Right.
family, and nobody was actually bringing in money. And she was the only one who was sort of like funding everyone's expensive lifestyle.
What was your mom's career?
Oh, she was an entrepreneur. She did a lot with real estate, and she had shops, and she had multiple
Wow.
businesses. So she was really, really active,
What
and
a powerhouse.
yeah, huge powerhouse. And she was known in my city. I grew up in the southwest of Korea, and it's just like small city. It's not as big as Seoul, the
That's
capital.
beautiful. I mean, I have not actually been to Korea, either
Mhm.
Koreas, but I've heard it's just stunningly beautiful, like South
Yeah,
Korea.
there are some interesting and beautiful parts. And so yeah, my mom was kind of like known in that world for money and, like, I don't know, the one of the movers and shakers. I mean, back then, you know.
Wow.
So I came here. I was going to do the study fine arts, but the school was expensive, and like she really didn't see that I would make any money after the school, just like everybody else in the family. So she was like, "No, you can't do fine arts no more. I can't do this anymore." So she was like, why don't you choose something that is commercial enough so I could use my creativity, but then I could support myself, right? Like become independent. So I
Right.
was like, yeah. So I found fashion design. It seemed to be quite interesting, and I was always interested in fashion. So I went to school here, the Fashion Institute, and then I went to Europe for a couple of years to study and sort of like travel around. And I came back to New York, and I was like, yeah, now I'm ready to work. So I started working for big companies. So I ended up working for giant corporations. And it was kind of fun. In the beginning, it was very hard for me because I was very, nobody could tell me what to do. And I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And I wanted to create what I wanted to create, not necessarily like following the orders of these companies, right?
Right.
So I had some tough time for a few years. And then by then my mom stopped supporting me, sending me money. So I became totally like independent, in terms of like money and finance. And I became a career woman, which was so not me. But back then I thought there was the only reality that I knew. And therefore I need to just do it, follow it, and just continue to live that way.
Yeah.
So I worked hard, and I really wanted to become good. And I got better. I got promoted, and worked at really, really, really good companies. People seemed to like my work. They appreciated what I had to offer. So that's good. Years went by. I became a senior executive of a big company, like well known, like worldwide. And my work became really good, and my life became comfortable.
Nice.
But then my personal life wasn't that exciting or fun. And I was doing a lot of like spiritual work, a lot of meditation, going on meditation retreats or yoga retreats, and studying different modalities and all sorts of things. They really inspired me. I wanted to become a healer, but I was afraid of other people's judgments. And also I wasn't ready to sort of move on from my design career and start a whole new life. I was very like scared about that, and I didn't think that I would make good money being a healer or energetic, whatever, intuitive, right?
Right.
And my mom, she was sort of like, she had all these like expectations, over me as to, oh, like you'll be so successful. I mean, for her, me becoming some sort of like energetic healer and stuff like that was like so weird.
Right.
So, being a good daughter, of course, I would not deviate from, my family or my mom's expectation over me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just kept living my life, and my health was sort of like falling apart, and I just really didn't like what I was doing anymore. It was just like I got really bored, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
the compensation from the company was really great, and my life was really comfortable, and so it was really hard to leave that salary behind and start a whole new life. But in
Mm-hmm.
my mind, I was thinking, I need to change. I need to change my life. So I was thinking that. And it was good that my health sort of fell apart. So it became a perfect excuse for me to take a break for a couple of years.
Nice.
I
Smart.
know. So
I like
my
it.
body was smart. My body knew better than me. My body sort of knew what to do in a way. And
Yep.
when I told other people, oh, I don't feel that well, I can't digest any food or whatever, like my back hurts, my neck hurts, this problem. So who's going to argue with me as to, oh my God, you have to continue with your career. You got to keep making money. You got to continue to work hard. I mean, nobody was saying that. Everybody was like, oh, poor Nicole.
That is awesome.
Oh my God. So a few years before then, I got really interested in really expanding my skills around investing because I look around. I mean, I live in New York City. Some people that I knew, built tremendous wealth using stocks or certain, knowledge in financial markets. So that really fascinated me for years that I studied. at first it's going to be very complicated, and I just really couldn't figure it out, because sometimes I'll make a lot of money and sometimes I'll lose some or a lot or make it back. And it just seems like there's like no reason, rhyme or reason whatsoever. But I knew that there's something going on behind the stage that maybe I could learn. And then I found Access Consciousness. A good friend of mine introduced me to Access Bars. I was just trying to figure out what to do with my life, after I stopped working as a fashion executive, and I really wanted to create my own company. So I was thinking of so I had already started a jewelry company years before while I was employed, but then I wasn't that excited about it. And I wanted to start a fashion brand, but then I was like, I thought, like, really had many doubts. And my interests seemed to go all over the place in terms of learning new modalities, new energetic, learning about new energetic tools and stuff like that. So you see, like, my mind was just ridden with many different interests. So even though I wasn't working per se, I was very, very busy. So my friend Donna offered to run my bars. I had no idea what that was, but the energy seemed to be really great. And I was always kind of intuitive. So I follow the energy, follow the lightness that I perceived back then, even though it was, a lot more limited compared to now. I really liked it. I felt like I was like kind of floating after the session that I received from Donna. I felt like I was like floating with ease, and I felt like I was like swimming in this like energetic soup or jelly.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, this is so cool. So I learned it right away. I signed up for the class, learned it, and I took other classes. And I thought it was so interesting. So I took one class after another with Access Consciousness. And then after a while, I was like, oh, I have taken enough for me to become a certified facilitator. So yeah, it was sort of like I kind of like took a leap, because still then I thought that, oh, there's no way for me to become this kind of facilitator and still run my business and still focus on investing and live my life with my husband. And we go way often, we go hiking every weekend, and we entertain to our friends and family often. So I really didn't know how I could make everything work. But then there is something about what if I could, what if I could beyond my expectations. So I was like, what the heck, let's try this. So I
Wow.
signed up to become to attend the training for Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator training. And yeah, so and actually that provided so much for me, and interesting things started happening, and
Yeah.
I became um, a leader per se in my own life and my businesses. And instead of going into my head or worrying about my future or dwelling on doubts and uncertainty of future or current state, I just started choosing, that simple tool of access consciousness, just choosing, even though I don't know how everything's going to turn out, just like being in the matter in anything and everything, and like me choosing to be happy and joyful and abundant and glorious in everything I choose to do and be. And I just took one step after another, and my jewelry business started flourishing. People started noticing my work, and they started noticing certain energetic charge with the pieces I make. So that was like really interesting. And then my investing grew in a way that I never experienced before. And it wasn't, I mean, I could say in the beginning it wasn't that easy. And I started using access tools, the simple tool of light and heavy, right? And who does this belong to? Like, so instead of following the hype, I started just started with questions, simple questions. What stocks? I started talking to the things that I already owned, and also the things that I wanted to buy or sell. And I started there. It's like super simple. And I learned fast. Everything just got expanded so much more. And I was like, wow, this is like really, really incredible that I could trade stocks or invest in things with the tools of access consciousness. It's like really, really incredible. Um, what else? Yeah, so I formed a few companies with the things that I do, and my life sort of became, how can I say, it's made up of multiple things, but it's never just one thing, never something boring. Because like I used to think that if you want to become good at something, you have to focus on one thing and do that thing only every day. Like that sort of belief system in that I like bought into, probably from
Yeah.
someone or some success guru or some whatever, like famous rich people, that I read about or heard about. And I sort of like, let all those beliefs go. And I'm really just acknowledging, you know what, I'm different. And the things I like are different. The things that I'm good at are different. And also it's my choice. I would like my life to be more fun, and I would love to just get to do different things all at the same time. And
Right.
I stopped worrying about people. You know how people make you wrong when they see you like you do multiple things, they really like go into judgment of you.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I was, it's kind of interesting that you mentioned that because it really honestly like creeps people out when you like have too many things going on. Like they assume that you're like failing at everything or something. It's very strange because it's like they
mhm,
just don't have a reference point for being successful at a whole lot of things.
yep, yeah. Also, I stopped trying to be successful. Like success used to be really important to me,
Well,
and
can
I
you say more
stopped.
about that? Yeah, I would love to
Yeah.
hear more about that because I think that's
Yeah.
the place where we really get caught in the judgment of success.
Well, I grew up in a small country, like underdeveloped back then, and my parents divorced like when I was young, and my mom was a single mom raising five children by herself, and she sort of like drilled this concept in me or in my siblings that you got to work hard, and you got to be successful, you got to become independent, like like all these things. I'm sure a lot of parents probably say that to their children, but for me, the pressure was even greater because I had it that I have to make my family become successful again, kind of thing. My
Right.
mom, I mean, nobody told me that. I sort of like took it upon myself.
Yeah.
And it was really heavy. I had this like tremendous pain in my body all the time. And it's just a huge burden. And
Yeah.
then, with access consciousness, I realized that I wow, like whose belief did that belong to? Was it truly mine? It wasn't mine. So,
Right.
and I became free, and I was just like, well, what if life doesn't have to be like all about success all the time? Because like in truth, like what is success? It's just so conceptual,
Totally.
you
It's
know?
whatever it's whatever people make it or judge it to be, and that's so true.
Yeah. And I'm working in those great companies. They're great companies, but the way we were working, or I mean, how much joy and ease did we have? We didn't. People are suffering. And I was like, wow, what would it take to have more joy and ease?
Yep.
And, being able to really like communicate or, act with people in different ways that is more honoring of each other and really like creating possibilities that really contribute to everyone rather than it's always about the company's profit or income. There's just so
Yeah.
much pressure around that people, the way people felt valued or whether they were contributing or not, like that didn't become a important thing. Just
Right.
people are just used in a way that was just not really contribution for them, and people are just really unhappy. And being a having been a sensitive person, I was like absorbing all their emotions and fears, and
Yeah.
and back then I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was getting really anxious and worried, but then I was picking up on all these other people's fears and anxiety. So
Wow. So can you talk a little bit more about that? Like for you, I mean, we have a tool in Access. Who does this belong to? And I know a whole lot of those of you listening to this, know that tool and use that tool. But it's really the basis of everything that we do in Access, because it's like you can't actually change something if it's not yours. You just have to return it to the person whose idea, judgment,
Mm.
point of view thought that it is. And it's like, for you, like, who does this belong to? Where did that tool sort of come into your life?
Oh, so the company that I was working for, they're they weren't doing that well financially, so they started laying off people. And so I was in a management position, so the company laid out a plan to sort of like letting the managers know that these many people need to be let go, fired. Um, and that brought up a lot of intensity or emotions in me, because they're my people. I don't want to let them go, and I made it so significant too, that as if I fire them, then that's the end of their lives or something. But some oftentimes people find better jobs after they get fired or they get laid off, right? Or they after they move on from working at one company. So I was like ridden with all this pain, and a lot of anxiety and fear. And I felt like somebody was coming to get me or something. That sort of like strange feeling. And I was like, I was just like, what is going on with me? Maybe I'm losing my mind finally. I was like, this is like so crazy, because I'd never felt that way in my life.
Hmm.
Um, so I was going to go and get my head checked. And oh
As you do, that's
my God.
the
Yeah.
logical
Yeah.
thing to do. That's funny.
Seriously, like there are days, Julia, that I'll go home because, like, laying off people, the whole like period of time was like stretching out to months. Like one stage, we're letting go of this 1,000 people. Next stage, another whatever thousand. So it's like the whole process was taking months and months, and I was just like dying. Because again, I made the whole process really significant. So there are times I would come home and tell my husband, "Oh my God, Michael, I was sitting at my desk. I felt like somebody was like coming to get me, or I don't know, I felt like somebody was grabbing me. I got like really scared and anxious and antsy. Oh my God, this is so strange." Like that.
Wow.
Very, very strange. So, and I met one
Wow, which is
access
the
person.
exact emotions that you would
Oh,
have
right.
if you
If you're
were
getting
sitting around
fired,
waiting
or
to get fired.
exactly. Can you imagine you sit around you come to work every day, you sit around, you don't know what day you're gonna get fired, but then you see your friends and colleagues getting let go one by one. All of a sudden they
Oh,
come quickly, they pack their things, they have to run out, and the security guard is like standing next to them. Or sometimes HR calls you into their office, you go and they notify you, they offer you some severance package and whatnot, and you just need to leave the building right away. So it's like it
wow.
just, yeah, it's like brings up a lot of intensities. It's there's just,
Wow.
can you imagine what goes through people's minds?
Wow.
The ones who get fired, and also the ones who are sort of like waiting around, and you know for
Yeah.
days and weeks waiting, because they know that eventually they'll get like they'll get let go because the company's doing so badly, like that sort of situation. So I was going crazy, and I was like, why am I so scared? Anyways, I talked to one of access facilitators, and she started asking me, who does that belong to? I was like, what do you mean? I'm feeling that. I was like fighting to tell her that those emotions are mine. And she was like laughing and like asked me more questions, like, is it possible that they don't belong to you? Or ask yourself, Nicole, like, truly are they truly yours? And I got that, oh my God, they're not mine. Wow.
No.
Even realizing that offered me so much more awareness and space. And then we have the access tool of, where does it belong to? If it's not yours, then return to the sender with consciousness attached. And you add a clearing statement, right? So I did that a few times, and then I became kind of calm, and I became just myself again. So I was like, wow, this is so cool. And then I got my bars run, and my head was so clear. And I'll just have this sort of state for like a week or 2 weeks at a time after I get my bars run. And I had clarity in my life. I got that you know what? I don't need to get afraid. And also, this may be a huge opportunity for those people who are, being let go, because they probably hate to work at this company that is dying. And
Totally.
they're offered a severance package for a few months or a year or whatever, so that they could, plan out their next step, or look for a new job, or take a little vacation. And,
Right. So there's
it's just their
possibilities available.
choice.
Yeah. That's an
Yeah,
amazing story of who does this belong
yeah,
to? Because it's so
totally.
clear, it's so
Yeah.
clear in that story, like that it wasn't yours, and
Hmm.
that's really what it comes down to. That's amazing.
And the same thing in stock market too. Like, I trade stocks sometimes a lot, sometimes not that much. And it really depends on what I perceive nowadays. But then there are days that I feel like I have to buy everything. And then I'm like, wait, hold on. Let's ask some questions. Who do these desires belong to? Are they truly mine?
Right,
And most of the time they weren't mine.
right,
So I return them to sender, and then I get clarity, and then I'll just ask more questions, and then I could choose to, buy certain things or sell certain things, and that is
right,
coming from me, not like really picking up on other people's thoughts or feelings or emotions. And also in the stock market, there are a lot of actors, promoters, that promote certain stocks, so that people like buy into the hype. And then
right.
after everybody buys into those hype, then the pros will sell. Like when the retails, like when small investors buy, all the big players will like quietly sell. You know what I
Wow.
mean? And then
Yeah.
all these little people, like, bought all these stocks thinking that, oh yeah, so and so said that it'll be great, or CNBC said that this is gonna be the next hot stock. And then they were like, few weeks later, the stock go down more and more. Now they can't even like sell it because it went down so much. So they feel bad. That's another topic to talk about. They feel bad to sell because then they're going to take a loss, right? So how many times does that happen? All the time, all the time.
Wow. Wow.
So that simple tool, saved me so much money and agony.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That is
But
so
Julia,
awesome.
but I'm telling you, but some days it really comes at me as if they're my thoughts and my feelings, you know?
Wow. Yep.
So just practicing, and sometimes I use that tool over and over, like repeat it 10 times. Who does it belong to? 10 times, 20 times. So,
Totally. I do that too. And I really had to learn that sometimes for me, I needed to repeat it. You know, for me, like usually 3 to 5 times will work, sometimes 20 times, but it always works. And it's the other thing I noticed too is it's sometimes it doesn't change within 30 seconds. Sometimes it changes 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 5 minutes later. So it's like
mhm,
I'll use the tool and then just give the universe a second to rearrange. And then
mhm.
5 minutes later, it's gone. But what I used to do is like, who does this belong to? Oh my God, it's still here.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I had to learn to give it 5 or 10 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
funny.
it's amazing tool. Same for body intensity or pain. So much, left me, and I was able to remove a lot from my like body too with that little tool. So
Wow, that's amazing. Wow. Well, thank you for coming on. I wish we had more time today. I love chatting with you. I feel like we could go into like 6 more podcasts with all the other things I haven't asked you about yet. But thank you for being here and just for your awareness and your amazing story.
you're welcome.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. And thank you to all those of you who are listening now and in the future. Um, and Nicole is on the Access Consciousness website. Is that
Hmm.
correct,
Yeah.
Nicole? So
Hmm.
she's on there as Nicole Kim McDermott, and so you can find her at accessconsciousness.com and search up Nicole Kim McDermott. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Nicole, and have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining me on another episode of A Different Reality.
It would be awesome if you could share this podcast with your friends and family. I'm always looking to spread the seeds of consciousness. And you can find me on my website at juliasotas.com. Until next time, what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can you be to create a reality totally beyond this reality with total ease?